Hi everyone, it's Kim from Fleece and Harmony, recording our 86th episode of our podcast from our shop in our woolen mill on our sheep farm in Belfast, Prince Edward Island. I hope everyone is doing great, and we have a packed episode for you this week. We have some finished objects, we have some works in progress, may or may not be mine, we don't know, and we have a farm update. I'm going to answer a lot of questions in the farm update from people. Were asking questions in the comments after the last episode. The harmony part we showed inside the sheep barn and the sheep eating, and there were a lot of questions that people had from that, so we're going to talk about that in the farm update. After the farm update, we'll talk about finished objects, and of course we're going to talk about works in progress after that. If you want to skip to any part of the episode, there are chapters that you should be able to see on the bottom, along the bottom of the video, and you can skip around and choose the pieces that you want to see, and or watch the whole thing. It's all good, but you have your choice. We're going to have another segment with Betsy Campbell from Lovin Llama as she tries to teach me to make those beautiful little llamas. And we have a big shop update, and I think I want to start a new cal. So I'm going to talk about that. Later as well. There are a couple things to update about the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival. The committee has met a couple times now, so I have a little bit more information about that. And of course, we'll finish with the harmony part. So if people don't stick around to the end, the harmony part is usually just a couple minutes of kind of peace and relaxation. That I try to choose music that's relaxing and soothing, and it goes on for 2 or 3 minutes usually. Sometimes it's a little bit longer, sometimes not, but we record things that we see around. Not a big production thing, just a nice peaceful moment or two just to end the podcast at the very end. And I will remind you that if you like this video, you could subscribe and give a thumbs up. And I always answer every comment and love reading them. So if there's anything that you want to comment, then please do so in the comment section and I will answer them. So we'll start off today with the farm update. And as I said, in the last harmony part, in the last episode, in episode 85, we were in the sheep barn for about, 3 or 4 minutes, I think. And people were watching the sheep eating in the barn. So they got a good look at all the sheep because they kept coming up right up to the camera. And somebody asked about the tags that the sheep have. So some of the sheep actually have 3 tags on their ears. Others only have 1, and it's all kind of a system that we have for sorting out the sheep. So the orange tags that you might have saw, those were all tagged on the breeding ewes. So when we were still lambing, all of the ewes that were mums had those orange tags, so we knew where they were. We also knew if they'd been bred or not, so that we could watch them during their pregnancy. So those orange tags are for that reason. The yellow tags that you saw are actually a marking system for the Canadian Agricultural Department for traceability in the supply chain for animals. And those tags have a microchip in them so that they can be scanned. So if you move animals off your farm for any reason, you need to be able to record where the movement of that animal was. So they do it for cows and other farm animals. So when we purchased sheep from somewhere, they had to have that tag. So, and when we have sold sheep to people that wanted our sheep for breeding or whatever, then we also had to put a tag on them so that when they move to another farm, that tag stays with the animal, and it's registered to the farm of origin, which would be us in some cases. And when we bought rams, for example, then they would have a tag from the farm that they came from. So that's what that tag's for. And then the third type of tag that we have there's like light blue ones, light pink ones, and purple. Those are actually lamb tags that we put on the young lambs. and they're color coded to the year. So every year we used a different one so that we know right away that Diana with a light green tag, what year she was born in. And there's a couple different ones, and you might have noticed some with bright red ones. That was just a lamb tag as well. So in 2019 we used bright red for the lamb tags. So those lambs are still, some of those lambs are still here. So that's what the tagging is about. Other people had questions about how they eat. Their habits, their eating habits, I guess. So what we do is in the morning, we fill the feeders. We've measured out how much food it takes to feed our flock of sheep, and we fill the feeders with that. And we measure it out by wheelbarrow full. So it's not very sophisticated. The way that we do it is that and it depends on the quality of the hay that we have at any given moment. So we put so much pounds of hay in the feeders, and then we watch to see what happens. So the way that sheep eat is they eat for about 45 minutes or so, and then their stomach is full, and then they ruminate for another 85 minutes or 90 minutes after that. So they're eating, and then they're resting and ruminating. So the hay goes through the different parts of the sheep's stomach, and then that makes room for them to eat more. So then they get up and they graze some more. So when you're seeing sheep laying down and they're chewing their cud, and they're also going through that rumination process. So we feed once a day in the morning, and we make sure that we have enough feed in the feeders that they're still eating at night. So when we do a barn check in the evening, we still want to make sure that they have food left and that they can eat overnight. But by the next morning, we want to make sure it's all gone so there's no wastage. And so that's how we check, and we check them at night in the evening as well. And so we make sure that there's hay left, but then we don't know exactly when it runs out during the night. But we are always checking the body condition of the animals to make sure that they're not losing weight. So if the feeders are empty in the morning, but the animals look like they're starting to lose a bit of weight, then we'll give them more food the next day in increments, and then we'll see what happens. So right now the flock is pretty stable, so we've kind of got it down. They still have food at night when we go to bed, and then in the morning it's almost all gone completely. So we've got the right kind of ratio, and it's like 2 full wheelbarrows full of hay for each of the feeders that we have. Is the way that it works out. So that's the scoop on what was happening in the barn. That was in the morning that we took that recording, and that would have been us. We had just fed them, filled their feeders. So that was that. And then anything else on the farm, it's just been crazy weather. Everybody's having crazy weather. Luckily, our crazy weather is not dangerous, like in some parts of Canada with floods and washouts and everything. But it was 14 degrees yesterday on the 6th of December. You're looking at this podcast on the 10th of December. I'm recording it on the 7th, but yesterday was the 6th, and it was 14 degrees Celsius, which is, 60 some degrees Fahrenheit. And tonight it's going to freeze again. And we had a little skip of snow 2 or 3 days ago, but of course that all left in the 14 degree weather. But we're not complaining really, because in other parts of Canada there's been like pretty wild flooding, both on the very east coast. So in Cape Breton, in the eastern Nova Scotia, there was washouts of roads and communities were isolated. And then in British Columbia, it's just been the only way to describe it is crazy flooding and washing out and so forth. So we're pretty happy with what we have, even though it is a bit different for December. And I don't know if we'll have snow for Christmas or not, but we're getting ready. We have our tree, the tree up in the shop. I don't have my tree in the house yet, so I guess that's probably on the agenda for this weekend, maybe, to get that ready. So that's about all that's been going on around here. Other than that, everything's been pretty quiet and stable, so that's good. That's always good. And I guess we'll just go on about the finished objects now. So there's not, I don't really have a finished object. I have not been in knitting much at all. There's been, my dad is actually in the hospital, and I've been going back and forth to Halifax to visit him and to help out my mom. So I haven't really been knitting a lot. So I did knit a little bit, but I definitely don't have a finished object. So I'm going to show my tungsten sweater later. But once again, the lovely Jennifer Hicks has come through and gave me a finished object, which she just happened to have in her bag. And but it kind of ties in with what I want to talk about in the shop update. So I want to show this really cute little beanie. This is actually the Beck Trail hat, which was designed by Simone Van Eiderstein, who has Sand and Sky Creations. And Simone is just one of those people that is so talented. She knits, she weaves, she spins, she dyes yarn, she does everything, and she's just a superstar at it all. And she designed this Beck Trail hat, and it's shown on our website. You can buy it on our website, and it is shown in blueberry preserves and natural, which gives you just the design is a little bit more distinctive in the way that it was knit there. But Jennifer Hicks decided to use variegated yarn on her version, which I really like. The pattern is a little bit more diffused, so you can't see the trees as clearly, but it's just so beautiful. It's blueberry preserves with thistle. And people that have been watching for a while know that I just love using variegated yarns in color work. So I was going to wear my Jennifer Steingass Hinterland for this episode, and Jennifer Hicks said, "Oh, I have the perfect hat you can show in the same theme," kind of the same thing. So she used blueberry preserves with the thistle. My Hinterland sweater that I'm wearing is knit with Pine Forest is the green color, and the thistle is in the yoke in the color work. So this batch of thistle that Jennifer knit with had a little bit more brighter pops of the fuchsia in it, so you'll notice that it's has quite a different look than the thistle that I have in my sweater, because the pink is a little bit more muted in the batch of thistle that I had when I knit this sweater. This hat is knit in Aran weight yarn, and my sweater is knit in Selkirk Worsted. So that's it. That's all I got for the finished object today. And I have two works in progress, which I'm going to show. People have been asking about Jennifer's Elda sweater, so I'm going to show that again. So she's actually finished the back. Again, this is Elda. The pattern is in 4 projects from Kid Classic. It's knit in Kid Classic yarn. It is a fisherman's rib sweater, so it has a super squishy feel to it, and the Kid Classic also means that you have a lot of texture with this sweater, and you have beautiful halo. The color in Kid Classic is Kid Classic, is mulberry. And this is the back of the sweater, and she literally finished it in the shop so I could show it today. After, when she was dyeing some yarn, she finished knitting it. And the construction is really cool because you have these this really simple shaping for the sleeve shaping, and it goes right up to the neckline, which ends up being like a mock turtleneck when it's on. So Jennifer decided to alter the pattern a little bit. Normally, as the pattern is written, this the neck part would be 24 rows long, and Jennifer decided to do it at 20 because she didn't want it too far up on her neck. And I've explained this before. This is a sweater that she's going to use. It's the perfect fit for her because she wants something that's a little bit kind of sweatshirty. But when you'll see the picture of the Elda sweater here on the screen anytime now, or right around now, and you'll see that it is quite fitted because it has a lot of stretch and give to it because of the fisherman's rib, but it's a really classic plain sweater. It has little vents on the bottom, and it's going to be something that you're just going to be able to wear and wear and wear for a long time, and it'll never go out of style. So it's gorgeous. There are a couple stitch markers on here, and I'm just going to explain. One of them is what I want to talk about, but this Jennifer just puts a stitch marker on just to indicate that this is the back piece. And she's got stitch markers where she did some increasing and that kind of thing. But there was a stitch marker that I put back on down here at the bottom. So right here at the bottom, this yellow stitch marker, the last time we met, this was a stitch that was split, and this is a 3-ply yarn, and two of the plies were outside. They weren't captured in the stitch properly. And I'm going to try to move up a little bit closer so you can see that Jennifer has fixed it, and I made her put the stitch marker back on because you couldn't see where it was fixed. So I'm just going to remember what stitch it was. So there was quite a large loop here, and you really can't see anything. I think that's going to be close enough. It's close enough for you to see that you can't see anything. So I'm just going to explain how she fixed that. She actually used duplicate stitch to fix it. So she caught the, she just took a piece of the yarn, a scrap piece of the yarn that she was knitting, and she came up through the bottom and she did like a duplicate stitch to reinforce the stitch that was underneath. There was only one strand of the yarn that was caught properly. So she did a duplicate stitch to strengthen that so that it wouldn't be a weak spot. And then she did another duplicate stitch to catch the loop. So she went up to the next stitch up in the row, the next row up, and she caught the loop that way using duplicate stitch as well. And you cannot see it. So there's different video tutorials on how to catch those kind of stitches, but that was Jennifer's method to do it, and I think she just figured that out on her own using duplicate stitch. So it looks perfect. You can't see that there was anything done to it at all. So this is the Elda in Mulberry in Kid Classic. So she's got the front half done, so that's coming along for her. I have my tungsten here, and I literally knit 4 rows in 2 weeks, I think, maybe 6 rows. So there's really not a lot to show. I have all these balls here, so I'm just gonna try to show. So if somebody is watching the video and they haven't heard about tungsten is made from felted tweed, and it has this argyle motif on the front of it. And I used a low contrast for the argyle lines that are done, and there's a little bit of DMC metallic thread that's being knit within these the camel colored lines that are in the argyle part. And there's nothing really more to say. It's really slow going because I haven't worked on it. It's not because it's hard to knit. It's quite simple. The design is quite basic, and it's pretty cool with creating that argyle. I had comments from people that said, instead of knitting the argyle, why don't I use duplicate stitch to do it? And I think that's a really good idea. I am going to do that, but I started doing intarsia with those lines, so I will have to duplicate stitch over, and then I'm going to duplicate stitch the front of the argyle so that I'm not messing around with, there's 4 bobbins just to do the lines, so I don't want to do that anymore. It's got a little bit fiddly. It's not hard to do, but it's a little bit fiddly. So that's the tungsten. So not much to show on there. So, and I still haven't started my cowl cardigan that I wanted to do in Kid Classic. I was going to start that project, but I just haven't had chance traveling back and forth to Halifax and so forth. So I haven't had chance to start that. But that is still in the queue because I do really want to make that sweater. It's so cozy and lovely. So I think now we're just going to go right to the segment on crocheting the llamas with Betsy. and I have had quite a couple of weeks crocheting legs of llamas. So my crochet skills really needed to be brushed up, and you're going to see all about what happened in the last 2 weeks with my crochet. I've got lots of legs, let's put it that way. Unfortunately, none of them are the same size. So let's go check out what happened while we were crocheting llamas with Betsy. All right, here we are back again for lesson 2 on the llama. So I have to admit something, Betsy.
What's that?
I have a lot of legs here.
You do. You have a pile of legs.
But we're going to start over as if none of this happened.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Because they're all different sizes. Yeah.
Tensions.
Yes.
Counting.
Yes. All of those.
This one, I like this one.
Do you? Do you like that one?
This one, yeah.
Okay, so
got
that's
a good
one.
Flat foot.
Yeah.
I think so.
But
There's a few there. Some of them are looking like maybe you forgot a row.
Yeah.
Like,
They're all supposed to be the same, and this is what they look like.
Can you spot the difference?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you see what I see?
Yes. So if I keep it like this, then my llama is going to have limb difference.
Yeah. All right.
So here I started another new one.
Okay.
But I've learned a lot.
Good. Good. Tell me what you've learned.
Okay. So what I've learned is that I need a stitch marker.
Yes.
For the beginning of the row.
It's as I'm doing this with you, I'm realizing more and more how much I sort of just do on instinct and take for granted. Because when I think back to when I started, I definitely used a stitch marker. Now, I didn't have such a fancy one.
Okay.
I just used an additional piece of other colored yarn.
Yes, so here you have the 2 options.
Yes.
Forget about the closed globe-shaped stitch markers, too fussy. This is a split ring marker from Cocoa Knits. I'm going to put that closed, you can see, so that you're not trying to unclip a pin. And then you have
just a piece of string.
Just a piece of string that you fit in right
to the last stitch that I did. So that would be the last stitch of the previous round.
Right.
So when I get back to that, I know I've reached the beginning.
Yes. Okay. So that's, for me as a beginner, that's a must.
Good.
Okay. So that's that. The other thing is that you may recall how tight my stitches were, but it's really important to understand how a crochet hook works.
Yes. Do tell.
So you need to move your stitch back on the shaft of the crochet hook before you tension your yarn.
Do.
Because then that's how you get even stitches.
Well, it would be similar to trying to knit on the very tip of your needles.
Exactly.
Your stitch size is not actually the tip of the needle, it's back further on.
So I think leg number 3 was when I figured that out.
I feel like a bit of a terrible teacher as she comes back.
These are all the things that when you want to talk to somebody about learning something, and same with me for knitting, that you forget about.
Yes.
When you've knit so much or crocheted so much, but that only a new person
would notice. Well, and we confessed at the beginning, I'm a new teacher too. I have never taught anyone to do this before. Right.
So that was those 2 little things have made a big difference
for consistency in your stitch size, for sure.
Exactly. So now if I could just get the number of rows right, then that would be good.
Well, counting is, I'm going to have to leave that one with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we've gone past 9.
No,
Kim.
It's the rows. It's the rows.
The rows.
I can't see where I am. So if I lose count because somebody asks me a question or something, or asks me what I want to watch on TV.
I have no idea who that would be.
No. Anyway, so then you forget if you're on the second one of row of 15 or the third one. So counting the rows is.
Well, we need to get you being able to see your rows.
That's right. So that'll come, I guess, with practice.
Yeah.
So, however, because now I have 6 legs started, I have conquered the magic circle.
Good.
So that's good. And the one thing I will give people that have maybe trying it for the first time a hint as well is that I was really tightening up the magic circle on the first line, in the first row. I think it's easier if you leave like a little tiny bit of a hole. There's a little tiny one in here. Yeah. And then you go around the next round because it makes it easier to put your crochet hook into the loops
first loop,
and then tighten it after. So now I don't want that hole there, but I'm going to tighten it now.
And I will even sometimes with this tightening, I will do that just before I attach and stuff, just to make sure it's good and tight.
It's closed. Yeah.
Because I leave it inside my my leg, so I'm never actually like weaving this end in.
Right.
It just gets buried and stuffed right in.
Okay, good.
Yeah. No,
all right.
This one never gets weaved in.
So this is where we left everybody the last time was we did the magic circle.
Yes.
6 stitches.
Yeah.
Then we increased that to 9.
Yeah.
And like we said before, this is not a tutorial about how to make the stitches or the increases, but just to show you how the llama goes together.
Yeah.
Then we did a row of 9 through the back loop only.
Yeah.
And that's as far as we got.
And that's as far as we got. Yep.
Yes.
So now to carry on our leg,
Yeah.
we need to do another round of 9 single crochet.
Just straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to reinsert my needle, or my hook. And we're going to go.
And now we don't have to count because we've got that marker in there.
Right. The other thing is I found that if your loops on the top are just a little bit uneven, it's happened a few times, and stretched out a little bit, that it's hard to, your single crochet that goes into the loop tends to go towards the edge, like
the outside?
Goes kind of deep.
Oh.
The stitches in crochet are like V's on their side.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. Yep.
Like this.
Yep.
So if your tension is a little bit tight and you've gone under the 2 stitches and made your single crochet, it tends to back up at the back part of it. And I think in a couple of my samples I've done 2 in the same one, not as an increase, but.
So at this point I realize something here I'm seeing a little different. I'm almost wearing the foot on my finger.
Oh, okay.
So then I actually, so that rather than having the stitch on the outside, I pull it up so that it's happening on top.
Oh, okay.
There, and that might help with some of the shaping too. So that before I go in,
right,
you're almost always sculpting and shaping as you go.
Oh, okay.
I went too far.
Will try to.
Yeah.
Did you need a stitch mark?
No, I've got one.
Oh.
So I was going to say, I've come around to the beginning of my row. So with the string, I just pull it out. And then, this is how to show this to the camera. I have to have it facing me. Through my last one and pull it through. And then it just hangs there. Hopefully that showed up because that was awkward.
Oh, okay. Like the whole thing is awkward.
No, it's not.
And I was feeling bad coming over here because I was thinking people are going to think these are really hard to make, but they're not hard to make. You just have to practice.
I was thinking about it as I was driving over. The idea that, like all things, it takes time. And I'm telling my daughters this all the time. Nothing almost in life do you sit down and do the first time.
Right.
And it goes smooth and perfect, right? Everything we do and learn takes some time.
Right.
So you were laughing about how many legs you had made, and then I joked and said, I'm sure I've made more. I have probably made upwards of probably 50 of these llamas.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I should find it a little easier.
Yeah.
Because if we were to start talking knitting, I think we would find that we would have the opposite way around.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been a lot of, okay, so now I'm on the next one. Okay. So now it's 12.
So now we're going to increase to 12 stitches.
Right.
I'm not going to explain exactly how that happens because, again, you can find other tutorials to tell you how to do that.
Right.
So at this point, you just need to know we're increasing this round up to 12.
Yeah. So you're going to single crochet in the first one.
First 2.
The first 2, sorry.
Oh, I am apparently going to say how to do it.
You're going to single
2.
And then you're going to do 2 single crochets
in the
third
stitch.
one.
Yeah, in the third stitch together.
Yeah. So now we're just going to do that.
Yeah. And then you repeat that. I think a total of 3 times.
Till you get to 12.
Yeah, it takes you around the circle.
Okay, so we've increased to 12.
12, yeah.
And now we do 2 rounds of straight crochet.
12, yeah. 12. Single crochet is 12. So you can either do it count it as 2 rounds of 12, or you can count it to 24, whichever.
Okay.
Goes easiest for
I'll
you.
do 2 rounds of 12 because
I'll do 24 because that's what I.
Yeah.
It's just funny how you develop the
Yeah.
same patterns.
Well, because I have my
patterns.
marker.
True.
So-
Actually, now that I have my marker, I can do that. I've been skipping out on having a stitch marker lately. It really is a good idea, though, because then if you need to, it's like a safety net as well. If you need to rip back, you know exactly where the beginning of that round is.
Yes, that's
Because
right.
ripping back when you're doing spiral is hard to know exactly where a round began or ended.
Okay, so we'll just do these quickly and then come back.
You're doing great.
All right.
And there's 24.
Right.
Okay, so we are kind of up
24.
to like mid-calf,
Yes.
we'll say.
Okay. Mine is a little bit.
I don't know. Do llamas have calves?
I don't know.
I don't know, actually.
I think they have like probably hocks and.
So that sounds like a llama word.
Yeah.
Now we're going to increase.
So my foot, or it's flat. It looks like
mine.
Yeah.
I
we're
think it looks
getting
great.
there. Okay. So now we do.
Up to 15.
15.
So we're going to increase to 15.
Yeah.
So you single in the first 3 stitches.
And then increase.
And then increase in the 4th
and
one.
repeat.
And repeat around. Yep.
Okay. So now, after
Now
the
we're going to just
15,
do 2 rounds of single crochet 15.
15, right. So you'll be counting 30. I'll be doing 2 rounds of 15.
Actually, I'm using my, oh no, I didn't move my stitch marker.
Oh,
You just
see?
reminded me to move my stitch
Yeah.
marker. I need it tonight. This whole like trying to talk, well,
Yeah.
making myself
So
sound like a very
we were
antisocial
talking.
person.
We
Yep.
were talking about your beautiful sweater.
Oh, yes.
Yes, this is the second sweater.
The second sweater I made. So the very first one I did with just like, I think it was color self-striping, I think they call it. A self-striping acrylic yarn that I picked up at a big box store. And I made the flax.
Yes.
I think it was called. Actually, which one of my daughters does still wear it, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then I decided, like I always do, oh, I got this knitting thing down, no problem. I'll just go straight for this beautiful kit I saw. Order it from Norway and away we go. I'll be fine. So this is Sidsel Huyevik Soul in Setestel, I think it's called.
That's right.
And I didn't do all the details. Funny enough, as we're sitting here crocheting, I got hung up. You're supposed to crochet, there's a line of purl they have up here, and you're supposed to crochet that. And I could not figure out how to do it.
Oh.
Because I'd already, like the sleeves are already closed. I don't know. I was having a brain blip and it just wasn't happening.
You're supposed to crochet up that to reinforce
on top. Well, no, I don't know if it's to reinforce. I think it's just decorative because you do a bunch of crocheting on top.
Right.
Of the cuffs here. You do some at the bottom where she has you add these crochet details on top.
Right.
And it's lovely, but I just could not figure out. I could do it at the edges, but I couldn't figure out how to go up the sleeve. So.
Okay. So I have that kit too.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well, there we go. So we can reverse this.
I'm not going to embark on
okay.
on it right now. I still have my button bands and everything to do on my paisley, but
and don't you have all the like sequins? And the paisley has. I mean, there's some embroidery and decorative on here, but
it's got all the bling, all the bling.
Nice.
And so I will break that out at some point. But it's not not yellow. I asked Sidsel to pick out some colors for me. So I think it's been a while since I looked in the box, but I think it's fuchsia.
So like this body part will be fuchsia.
Yeah.
And I learned from Arna and Carlos the little flecks or their lice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they assure me every time, not me, they assure the whole audience every time that they don't mean the bugs.
Yeah. So
are you there? Oh
no.
Oh, okay.
I have one more round of 15 to do, but I can see that we made a little correction in the way I was doing them. and that's improved it a lot, just that one. So I was skipping a row of the 9 by mistake on my other legs and not reading the instructions properly.
Well, the instructions are a little bit foggy too.
Okay.
We'll give you grace there.
So this is actually making me much more happy than my multiple legs.
The 6 you did before?
Since I had my llama to compare it to, I was like, I don't know why mine doesn't look like this.
Well, we did find out you are getting a little different style in your stitch. So,
yes, interestingly.
Yeah, you said you looked into it. You're doing it correctly, and I believe you.
Yeah.
But for some reason, our stitches do look a little different. So we're chalking it up to tension. Maybe it's the left-handed, right-handed. Maybe some of you will have an idea.
I double checked because my finished stitches just don't look the same as yours.
I have to admit, they really don't.
Yeah.
No. You almost have more, like, I almost want to call it like a daisy, or it's almost like yours has petals to it.
Yeah.
Where mine are pretty distinct X's.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done my second row of 15.
Catching up. I'm getting there. That's terrible. I'm now bracing you. I'm the worst teacher ever.
Oh, no. All right.
Okay. There we are. So there's your... Okay, so now for those of you who may have the original pattern purchased from, I think it's Monica is her name, here we're going to veer off from there and do something a little different. So I've added a little, so it pulls the leg back in. So we're actually going to do a decrease row now. We're going to decrease back down to 12 stitches. It just gives the top of the leg a little extra curve.
Yes, it does.
Kind of the slight development of musculature.
Yes, that's right.
That's what we'll call it.
Okay. So now we're going to decrease.
Decrease. So now I have to double check here how I decrease. So so we decrease, which do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up.
So, okay, anyway, decrease. Go for it.
Right. So, and you decrease in the first
stitch.
Two. Yeah.
So the first 2 stitches. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am using the invisible decrease.
Right. You took it to a whole different level.
Yes. So because that happened to be the first video that came up.
Okay.
So what that is that you just pick up the 2. Like I said, this is not a tutorial on the stitches,
but we talk about them anyway.
But you decrease by, instead of going through the whole 2 legs of the first 2 stitches, you just go through the front leg.
The front leg only.
Of the first 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to give that one a try. I haven't done that. I tend to be someone that the first thing I learn is what I tend to go with, unless it's really giving me a problem. But the first way I'm taught something tends to be what
the way you
sticks for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Okay, there you are. So pick one of your plethora of legs over there.
I'm going to pick the biggest one.
Okay, see, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Let's see. I can try. It's
pick
like
one that's
trying on a prosthesis. Okay. No.
No.
No. No. So the closest one is this one, I think.
Just go with it and just kind of hold them so they... I really liked the shape you were getting on the one you did tonight, though.
Yes. It's amazing when you actually do the right rows.
Well, as long as you do all 4 the same way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it will really matter.
No. So. Okay. So now, what do we do?
We need to attach the 2. So you're going to take your finished leg that has the yarn cut, and we're going to take the leg we just finished, keeping it attached to our ball of yarn.
Right.
So we're going to put them side by side.
Okay.
And match up about 3 stitches. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and then you'd bump the beginning of that one.
Okay.
And we're going to put them, so I'm going to try and see if I can, just like that. And then we're going to...
So do I pull this loop out on the top of the other one, or do we leave
it should be finished.
Be finished. Okay.
So you're actually going to want to finish that off by pulling the yarn through that loop.
Yeah. So to finish it, you make just one chain at the top, and that creates a knot. Okay. Yeah. So you have the one that's, I'm going to put that back on my hook.
Then get your 3 stitches there that you can see you're going to go into.
So it
yeah,
goes the
it has
opposite.
to be exactly there, just like that. Yep. And then if you want, you can kind of even squish them a little bit flatter together, because you're now going to go into the leg that's not attached.
Okay, so we're going to, this is a little bit,
it's really, I don't think we can show it.
We can't really show it. So you have I have my leg that's attached to the ball of yarn on my right side, and I have the other leg on the left side. I'm squishing them together. I'm taking the loop from the right side leg, and I'm going all the way into the inside and under the top 2 loops of the left leg.
Very good.
And then just making sure that I'm in the next one.
Yeah, excellent. And going
through.
right into, again, you'll have to, if you really want to figure this out, you'll have to watch some tutorials.
So you've got the legs of the stitches on the top of each of the legs, and then you've got your loop that you're working with all on the needle.
Yes.
And then you're going to
big pull through that.
Yeah, so then you're going to
big hunk of mess.
Yeah, so then you go all through the stitches and then do a single crochet.
Yeah. Finish your stitch
to
off.
finish it off, okay?
Yeah. And then we're going to do it one more time.
So that's the second one. I'm going to go over to the inside of the other leg, into top of the
nice. And you are exactly where you should be. I am 1 stitch off because I was not paying close enough attention.
Okay.
But you have done just great. But it's okay. It's fine for today. I'll just carry on.
Okay. So now they're joined.
So that would be what you do for legs 1 and 2 joined together. If it was 1 and 2, you would cut the string and finish that off with a chain stitch.
Okay.
But
so this is not going to be 1 and 2. Well, actually, I probably could. Do you think I could get away with? No, it's quite different, eh?
It will be entirely up to you, Kim. You will have to decide what level you're going for here.
The OCD level or it's fine the way it is level?
But I think expecting it to look exactly like my 51st llama on your first
No, I'm
llama.
I'm not putting that kind of pressure on me myself, but I definitely like this leg better.
Okay.
This is the one that we did tonight? Finished. Yeah.
Nice. Good, good.
And it does follow the pattern properly.
It does.
This you can see how what happened with this one. It's more has a round look to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
for tonight, what we would do then, if this was leg 3 and 4, we would have 1 and 2 here already, which I thought I brought with me. Oh, it has fallen down. Excuse me for a moment. There we go. All right, so I have my 2 attached, and now the 2 we just did. So to put them together, there's no belly. It's squished.
Right.
So we want to create a belly.
Okay.
So to do that, we're just going to chain 5.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And attach it to so where the first 2 legs come together, we're going to attach that through
the front stitch.
There. And just grab that. And if Kim's watching, she's realizing I didn't even do that perfectly, but it doesn't really matter.
I don't.
So now we've got, I'm going to pull
Okay, so chain 5, and then at the end of the chain, just go to the front part where you've attached the first 2 legs, and you've
Attach
got
'em.
4 legs in a strip.
Yep. And I think we'll call that probably good for this lesson.
Right. Okay.
Because
great.
Next time we're going to do some double crochets and half double crochets.
Oh boy. Okay. So
there's her 2. And there's 4.
Yeah. All right.
You're doing great.
Okay, thanks. You have a hard job trying to teach me. And you'll notice that my ball is like really used up because
it's okay. I have another one of that color.
No.
So if you run out,
I don't think I'll run out.
We'll just keep going.
There were a lot of legs made.
Practices.
Yeah. Okay, great. So back to the podcast. All right. So there's the whole scoop. not a myriad of mistakes and things that went wrong with that, but I think we're on the right track now. And I'm going to do my homework and get the rest of the legs done and do that little join, the join in between the legs. And hopefully when we come back in the next episode, we'll be able to start actually working on the body. And the crocheting is actually fun. It's like I said, I've crocheted before. It's just not the hobby that I knit most of the time. But as in all things, practice makes perfect, or at least goes towards perfect, we'll say. And I can already see that I'm starting to get a bit of a rhythm. My tension is a problem, as I mentioned in the video, but I guess we're going to get there. So I am absolutely intrigued, though, about amigurumi now. I just think that it's really fun and really... right now, I'm really feeling like I should just do a few small projects just to get something done. And I am loving doing the crocheted llama, but I also have fallen in love with these beautiful little rabbits from the Little Cotton Rabbit. And I think I'm going to do those. Now they're knit, so I'm going to knit them. But she uses felted tweed a lot in suggesting. She gives a lot of different variations on the rabbits knit with different yarns. So I think I'm going to try some of those. I can picture rabbits with little dresses, and I think that's just what I would need to do right now, is just to have little projects to work on. And I do like doing fine work, but I'm just not, don't have enough time to sit and concentrate on big projects right now that are a little bit intricate, which is what I like to do. So I think I will make some rabbits and some llamas, and if I don't get to my sweaters, I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on myself, because I will be going back and forth to Halifax more. So I just want to have something that I can relax with and be able to finish. So I think all knitters have gone through that kind of a stage. So now I'm in that stage. So I'm going to do that for myself. I'm not sure how many rabbits I'm going to be knitting. I might have a lot. I don't know. But I will work on my bigger projects when I feel like that I can have the concentration to do it. And then I'm going to work on small projects in the meantime for that. So I think we'll go to the shop update now. And we do have a new yarn, so I'm going to show that first. It was already featured on the newsletter, so the people that subscribe to the newsletter have already seen this yarn. So for those that don't know, we have a newsletter that goes out every Friday afternoon, and on that newsletter I always feature new products first. And if it sells out from the newsletter and we're not making more, then the people that are watching the podcast unfortunately don't even get to see it. It doesn't even get in the shop sometimes. But if you are subscribed to the newsletter, you'll be able to see everything that we have and have a first chance to purchase it. If it's something that we can make more of, then we happily make more and we share it with everybody in our shop and on the podcast. So this time it was a colorway for... on the last newsletter, it was a colorway using Selkirk Worsted, and we wanted to use two of our almost favorite colors, which is slate and autumn birch. It makes such a great combination, and we dyed a variegated yarn in Selkirk Worsted with that, and we've left quite a lot of white space so that you have natural showing with slate and with autumn birch. And we have made a suggestion that you can use these colors together in your projects. So you can see why the theme today was variegated with plain colors. So like I did with thistle and pine forest here, you could do the same with the Scotch on the rocks and slate, if you wanted to do color work with that, or Scotch on the rocks with the autumn birch would be lovely as well. And lots of people were buying all three together because it's just a great combination for neutrals. So we have lots of this in the shop. So if you're interested, you can check with the links. And again, as always, there is a link to the collection that says episode 86, and everything that I talk about today will be, you can get to it through that link down in the show notes, or you can shop online and use our search on desktop or whatever if you have that. So Scotch on the rocks and autumn birch with slate, the perfect pairing of yarns. And well, because I talked about it, I did want to show the here I am again. I never take these labels off before I get here. So I'm wearing the pine forest is the green, and thistle is the variegated. So this is one of our most popular colors, so you've seen this before, thistle. You can also put it with amethyst brooch, which you've seen before as well. And we actually don't make this color, this fuchsia. We don't usually, we have a yarn. We did a special yarn called Spring Garden in this color, but this color, this pop of fuchsia is just in, we use it in a few of the variegateds, but we don't make a plain yarn like that. But it also kind of gives a little bit of excitement, I guess, like to the thistle. So those two are something you might want to check out. And then, as I said, in the Beck Trail hat, we had thistle in Aran and blueberry preserves. So I'm just going to show those two together. And you'll notice the thistle always looks different because it's just the nature of the hand dyeing. Okay, and if you want to see again how that looks when it's knit up in color work, there you go. All right, so so that's what we're featuring, and we have lots of variegated colors. And if it's not obvious what colors would go with them, you can always drop me a line, and I'm happy to make a couple suggestions if you want to use a variegated with a solid. We do this all the time. People want to knit like with those that kind of combination, and I'm happy to help you match up colors if you don't trust your computer monitor or your color. You're not sure if they match or not. I'm happy to help you with that. Also in the shop update today, I wanted to talk about a product that we've had for a while, but it's something that we use in the shop. And when Jennifer Hicks was preparing the stitch markers on her Elda sweater for the little fix that she did, she is using this. So this is the accessory roll from Coco Knits. It's actually made out of paper, and when you get your accessory roll, you can actually throw the pieces in the washing machine and you wash it, and then you let it dry. But as it's drying and it's still damp, you manipulate the paper so that it starts to look like leather. So this accessory roll comes like this. It's got 4 pockets inside. Each of the pockets comes off with a snap, and they close by just folding over. So it's like a little envelope that opens, and all of your things can go in here, and it holds an incredible amount of things. And because it looks quite compact and small, but it actually, you've got 4 of these pockets, and you can put different things inside like this. They just snap right back on. Just snaps back on to go together, and then you fold this up, and it makes this beautiful little roll, and you hold it with elastic bands. It also comes with a selection of bands, so you can change the color if you want. It's just a really, of course, from Coco Knits, the quality is excellent, but it's just a really smart tool to have, and it keeps all of your notions in one little kind of neat, compact way. but with the flexibility to take out those inner pockets if you want as well. So that's in the shop, and we have those in stock if you wanted to check those out, as well as all of the other. We carry virtually everything that Coco Knits makes. There are a couple things that we don't have, and we are waiting for an order to come just within the next couple weeks as well. With I've ordered the maker board. That's something new that they have, and a couple other things. So you can check that out. And because, as always, we just love books, I just wanted to talk about a couple books that we have. I'm thinking of, Christmas lists or gift lists that you might be interested in, books for that. So we did get the second volume of the Harry Potter book. And this is Knitting Magic Volume 2, and it's more patterns from Hogwarts and beyond. So there are more patterns in here. There's 28 patterns in this book, and I'll try to show a couple pictures of things they have. Again, it's a mix of garments and accessories. I'm just going to see if I can find. Okay, so you have socks. And there's sweaters and hats and scarves and all kinds of things. There's some shots from the films as well that are shown there, and I don't want to show anything with the patterns, but I'm trying to see if I can. And I'll post pictures in behind me here. So Harry Potter, Knitting Magic. This is the volume 2. We also have volume 1 as well, but I've shown that before. And I just want to remind people that, because I didn't have the book to show on the podcast last time, but we have Worsted, the new book from Laine, which has been curated by Amy Gilles from Lovin. And this book has patterns that all use a worsted weight yarn. And the yarn that's suggested in the book actually has the same specs as our worsted weight as well. So you could use the Lovin yarn, or our yarn would also work in any of these patterns. So that's worsted. And another book that came out a couple months ago is Stripes by Laine. And I've showed this book before, but I didn't have the book in when I featured it, so I didn't have all of the pictures. So I will put up pictures for the Stripes book as well. And as always, I mean, the Laine books are just gorgeous. With the photography is beautiful, and the way that the books are made is lovely. We also have magazine 13 coming. I don't have it today. It's actually coming tomorrow, so I won't be able to show it here while I'm recording this. But we do have edition 13 or issue 13 coming tomorrow, so that will be on the website for purchase by the time you're looking at this, if you are interested in Laine number 13. And the final book that I want to show is something that we've showed before, but it is just one of those just excellent and timeless books, and that's Norwegian Knitting Designs 90 Years Later. And for those that don't know about this book, it was originally written 90 years ago, and the book at that time looked like this. So you have this little replica of the original book inside this big book with the designs and so forth that they had. And I think that there are hardly any Norwegian designs that you can look at in anybody's knitting that knits from Norwegian designs. Arne Carlos and some of the other folks, they've all have origins in this book. So this was really the first formalization of these knitting patterns written down and to be able to be passed on. And then this book has modernized some of those designs, and you have some really like beautiful patterns in here. This, and there's a couple other, they're really classic. I'm just trying to find pages where the pattern's not written. And so they've just updated the patterns, and then modernized the pattern writing, I guess, because the patterns when they were written were pretty basic. So there's just great patterns, and this is just a lovely hardcover book. So if you don't have this already, you might want to put it on your Christmas list. So I think that that's about it for the shop update too. So we have lots of things, and we're well stocked with everything. So if you've got your knitting list, your wish list ready, you can hand it off to somebody, and we're ready to help with that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Fibre Festival now. So everything is kind of in full swing for the planning for the Fibre Festival. The committee has met several times. The tickets aren't for sale yet, but they're now doing a call for vendors and a call for people that want to instruct workshops. So there is a newsletter for the Fibre Festival. If you want to sign up to that newsletter, you'll be informed of everything that's happening with that as the committee moves forward. And if you're a potential vendor, or if you wanted to explore instructing in a workshop, then they're actually calling for the vendors and the workshop instructors right now. The tickets will go on sale later on, like in the new year. But I can also tell you that the Ceilidh is back on, so the Ceilidh is being planned. There'll be 2 nights, but it's limited. There's a limited amount of space in the venue that we have. So you'll want to watch for that in the newsletter too when those tickets go on sale, because I would anticipate that it'll sell out pretty quickly. And then as we get more and more information, more things organized, the committee will send out more information. So we're almost finished the podcast, but I think I want to introduce a Cal, another knit along. I almost forgot the Kate Davies knit along. We did have winners. We had 3 winners, and they've been notified. And I'm going to show pictures of the designs, and I'll put the names after, because I want to make sure that I'm not mispronouncing some of the names. There's 3 winners, and again, the winners won. One person won a set of Chiago needles, the blue shorty set, and we also had a knitted cowl from Kate Davies that she had sent as a prize. So one of the winners won that, and there was also a knitting season journal that was awarded as well as a prize. And in the end, we drew random numbers for the draws, and I used the list of the finished objects from both the community forum that's hosted on our website and from the Ravelry group. So there was 2 winners actually from the Ravelry group, just because there was way more people there, and 1 winner from the community forum. But we did combine all of those, all of the projects all in one group to do the draw. So it was completely random and fair. There were so many great projects. It was really, really something. It was I was surprised at how many of Kate Davies' designs it was like I'd never even seen them before. So she's just so prolific, and it was just a great cowl. So that was so much fun. I think I want to do another one, and I think we should do an amigurumi cowl. So I think that what we'll do is you can do amigurumi projects and put them in, and we'll do a thread for those. I'll do the same thing, 1 thread for discussion of the patterns choices and 1 thread for finished objects. And we'll run the threads on the community forum and in Ravelry. And in this case, we can do crochet or knit it, and amigurumi. You can do, it's wide open. It's just going to be general. You can do whatever kind of animal you want, and whatever pattern you feel most comfortable with. And crochet and knitting, everybody's welcome. And I think we'll do that. So you can look for those threads on the community forum and in the Ravelry group. So that's about all I wanted to talk about today. So we are going to go to the harmony part, and I know what it is going to be this week, but it needs no explanation. So we'll just get right to the harmony part, and I hope you enjoy a few minutes of relaxation, and I hope you stay safe and joyful over the next 2 weeks, and we'll see you on December 24th. So Christmas Eve would be when the next podcast is being released. But you might want to check your notifications, because I may launch it a day early. But if you have your notifications turned on, you'll know about that. But tentatively it would be on December 24th. So we'll spend Christmas Eve together, perhaps. Okay, so have a great 2 weeks and enjoy the harmony part. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye.